Hello everyone, this is Adirondack Guy, and we're going to be talking about, this is another video on a possible civil war in the United States, part 2. I did a video before on this topic several years ago, talking about how, if there was another civil war, how it would have been different from the first American Civil War. So what would this second Civil War be like? And I'm going to re-talk about some of the things that I mentioned in the last video, and from what I have seen now, how this can still be true and may not be. First of all, we have to think about, well, what would cause this Civil War? Who are the two different opponents? Basically, what we're seeing now in the United States is a division of two different opponents. The globalists and the nationalists, or what some people would call the globalists would be the far left, people who believe in a Marxist, socialist, even somewhat communist agenda. And then there's the far right, who are the nationalists, who believe in more of a capitalistic viewpoint, of more traditional American values. And and a lot of people say, well, there's conservatives, liberals, etc. Actually, there's a mixture here. There are more conservatives on the right. There are more people of liberal views on the left, but there are many liberals who are joining the right. So, but that doesn't make them conservative, just liberals who are more agreeable on the right. So, we have two different opponents. Also within our nation, the percentage of people who are on the right are people who are in the rural areas, the country, the mountains, all those areas. And then there are people in the urban areas who are more on the left, who are in the cities. And now, of course, there's mixtures here and there, but the percentage. Okay, so because of this, we have basically in our nation is so divided right now. We have two different cultures per se in the United States of America. And I'm not going to explain what they are because I'm hoping you people have already have an idea, rather whatever your idea is on either side. But there's no question, there are just two completely different cultures going on. And each culture has a different view of the other, rather it is a correct viewpoint or not, or even a mixture of what is correct or not of the other side. So the opponents believe that what they stand for is truth, and the other side is standing for is false. They both sides believe they have the facts on their side. They believe they have the moral rights on their side and the correct belief and idealisms. So, yeah, we're in a predicament. And of course, what we're dealing with now when this video is being made is the question on who's going to win the presidential election. Already people are saying, well, Joe Biden is going to become president, while other people are saying, even though Joe Biden has been chosen by the media and other people of high authority, Trump could still become president, which historically, throughout other parts of our American history, this can be very possibly true. This is not the first time we have been through a very similar incident where eventually the higher courts will have to decide on who will be president of the United States because of possible fraud of elections. Either case, whoever becomes president, one side's going to be very upset. And so it won't matter really who becomes president, whether there's going to be peace in this nation or not. There's going to be great civil unrest. And both sides are pointing fingers at the other. They're going to make all the mess. They're going to cause all the violence. They're going to cause all the unrest. Well, I'm sure you have your opinions and I have mine. But we have to look at this realistically. What if a civil war does break out? Well, theoretically, many people believe that we are already in a civil war. But it's not a war of physical violence per se. It's a war of ideology. And this war is who is going to conquer our nation, who is going to take over our nation, whose ideology will have total control at the end. Either way, it's going to be very ugly, whether politically or even physically. We have been seeing throughout the past year or so a violence in our streets caused by rioters. Peaceful protesters. And also we are seeing many people talking and saying things about militias and bearing arms and defending their homes. We've been seeing a lot of ugly things. It's scaring a lot of people. And the percentage of Americans, according to the polls, if you even believe in them, say that the percentage of Americans believe that there will be a civil unrest or a civil war. But is this realistic? Well, physically, having a civil war with physical weapons may not be as realistic as you may think. And this is my theory. And I may be proven wrong in the future. And I hope I'm not. First of all, a lot of people believe that if there is a civil war that breaks out, that the percentage of the military will join President Donald Trump because he's a great supportive of the military and of our veterans. This is false. There is a good percentage of people in the military who would join the left. If there is a civil division in our nation, our military will be divided. And many will join the left. So, and you don't believe me? Talk to people that you know who are in the military. Ask them and say, do a lot of people support President Trump? And I'm sure that you'll be surprised with the answer. Another problem will be food. Keep in mind that to have an army, you have to feed the army. We've been going through a lot of droughts for the past couple years in our nation, and we do not have the food. Most of our food, eventually, if not already, is being provided outside our nation. And a lot of the food is being stored or saved for the holidays or whatever. So food is really not available, people. I know what you're thinking, but it's not. It's not available. Another problem of civil unrest is that most states are not legally allowed to have militias anymore, even though it is constitutional. Especially, let's say, where I live, New York State. We can no longer have militias. And if we have to have a militia by our Constitution, we need permission from the governor to form a militia. But here's the other thing. Militias were actually designed as a defense, not to attack. So if he even was able to form a militia, the militia would be owned by the state, and as such, it would only be used for defense reasons. But even if, let's say, like Abraham Lincoln did, asked for a Union Army, let's say Trump did the same thing, you still have to have months and months of training these people, feeding them, training them, having all the equipment, money. Do we have the money? I don't even think we even have the money or the best equipment available. Also keep in mind, the left has an army. It's called the United Nations. The United Nations will most definitely help the left, while the right, all they have is part of the military that supports Donald Trump, and all of these amateur militias and a police force who are somewhat trained, and not to mention all these people that are just joining this new army who don't even know the first thing about the art of warfare. And that's something that we forget, is that during the Civil War, even during the American Revolution, people knew the art of warfare. Your average citizen, especially in the country and in the mountains, knew the art of warfare. They were trained every year in militias. We don't have that anymore. Most people do not even know how to fire a gun, and for those who do know how to fire a gun and how to do it correctly, you don't know how to do it in a military form. So, like I said, the idea of a civil war happening the way that we would imagine it to be is not realistic. But, like I said in my last video, I'm sure you have different views on this, so please comment below, share your opinions, but, you know, don't diss my opinion, because we might be surprised. Maybe I'm right, maybe you're right, but only the future will tell. And this nation is under a lot of question right now, and there is a lot of hate between both sides. It's really sad.